I have been very confused about how to understand China in terms of its information policies. It's not confusion which is out of incomprehensibility. I understand what the country is doing. But the confusion is that I've spent a few months, quite substantial months in Shanghai, which only last year before last. And I have realized that it is not easy to take a partisan position on China. And maybe it's not adequate to just paint it black or white or good or bad. I'm trying to kind of theorize this myself, so this is more like speaking out loud. But I think it is in the nature of information to be censored. Right? Let's face it, that if in fact there were no censorship mechanisms, there would be no way to define information. And I'll give you an example, that the minute you think that something is information, what you've done is you have applied a framework of whether it's useful, whether it's well documented, whether it has a coherent logic, and so on and so forth. And that's a filtering mechanism. We don't call it censorship, but it is actually self-censorship. You also censor your own understanding of what kind of information can be produced, what kind of information can be consumed, and so on. So we might universally think, for example, that any sexual representation which involves children or non-consensual objects is bad or is a bad thing, right? And we don't think about this as censorship. We think about it as a moral right or a filter of some sort. So I'm saying that all information, it is in the nature of information to be censored and to be filtered. Now, when you move from the individual to a state, of course the stakes are much higher. And I think that while I will never agree with censorship of information which is geared towards the rights of the citizens, I do understand that as a nation state, there is a confusion that China has about what to do with this information explosion that's happening, right? And instead of critiquing China for taking different kinds of confusing positions, I think it is a sign of hope that it is acknowledging the fact that there is a confusing information ecology out there. It is much better than denial of that particular technology or the information. The very fact that China exercises a certain kind of censorship regime means that it is at least aware of a certain kind of information which is available out there. And I think that's the first step towards opening up and becoming a mature information society where you are able to let go of the control over the information rights and let the people choose what they want to consume. So I'm not going to take a dystopic position and critique China, because I think all countries and all individuals have a certain idea of what kinds of filters need to be established in order to make certain kind of data sets into information. And the fact that it is engaging with technology, the fact that it is engaging with internet, the fact that it is trying to take a position on the information which is being made available is a good step. Because it means that there is now a space for dialogue. It means that there is a space for engagement. And hopefully with enough people interested, with enough non-governmental organizations taking an interest, different stakeholders will be able to help in shaping up new policies which will be more liberal, which will be more progressive, and which will be in the favor of the citizen.